start?
Yeah, early this morning or late last night. Because I time is like circular. Zeus sent me a message, and it was like a CNN thingy of Mike Pence at the Federalist Society, basically saying Donald Trump was wrong. Well, what's Donald Trump wrong about? What he was talking about is the fact that Donald Trump, this last week at one of his rallies, because he's still doing that, said that Mike Pence could have overturned the election for him. Like, he could have stopped the certification of the votes on January 6th, which is prior to all those MAGA folks storming the Capitol, the little tour that happened there. He was saying that Mike Pence could have turned over the election. Mike Pence is like, no, he's wrong. On a constitutional basis, he's wrong. I could not have done that. And one would think, well, why is it a big deal that Mike Pence is stating a fact? Well, because in the Republican Party, facts get you ostracized.
Yeah.
Liz Cheney and Adam Kinzinger, have both been censured by the National Republican Party for joining the January 6th Commission. Freaking Liz Cheney was, I think she was ousted from the Wisconsin Republican Party. I know she was ousted from her leadership position.
Funny thing is, Liz Cheney is a very conservative Republican.
Very, very, like 90-something%. I think she voted with Trump. But not agreeing to his lie is like grounds for like expulsion. Mm-hmm. So people were legitimately shocked by this. So after I saw the message from Zeus, I went to actually go watch it, and then CNN interviewed some people that were there at the Federalist Society. So it's a conservative thingy. So it's all Republicans that they're interviewing, and some of them were like, this shows courage on his part, and good person. Someone was like, a difference of opinions. It's not an opinion. It's literally a fact. You can't just overturn the election. What's the point?
What treason is?
Yeah. What's the point of voting? So, but yeah. So, what are your thoughts on that? And let's just dive into it.
Man, the thing that confuses the shit out of me is you have so many people who vote for Trump who are pro-value, right? Pro-values, like the values of the country, pro-America, God bless America. I stand for the Constitution. When they wave the flag, I practice shooting my guns, and and I believe in suppressing people who speak out of turn. It's like you're the most conservative, but yet you're pro. Like, the thing is, though, Mike Pence is showing, which I think he's always been, a constitutional type of politician. You have constitutional lawyers who interpret the Constitution as they think the Constitution should be interpreted. Yeah. That's what Mike Pence is.
It's a constitutional conservative.
Yeah. I still think that he was a bit of a coward for not invoking what would have been the 15th Amendment?
25th.
The 25th Amendment, thank you. He should have invoked the 25th Amendment.
To explain to anyone who doesn't know. So it's basically like saying that the president's unfit for office, and you basically take a vote amongst the Joint Chiefs of Staff, and I think if the majority of them agree, then the president gets ousted and the vice president becomes president. And
I really do think that the Joint Chiefs in that particular situation would have agreed because of what was going on at that time. It was just too, you know what I mean? Like it was just too fresh of what was going on. So I still think he was a coward for that. I still think that he was playing the political long game on that one. And I still think he is. I honestly think that he thinks this is the best route for him to go to run for president. I still think he doesn't understand that he's not going to be president.
I would have loved the 25th Amendment thing, because I would have loved to see if Elaine Chao would have voted to oust Trump. She's Mitch McConnell's wife. She was also the transportation secretary. I think I don't know. She was a very weird one. She ended up leaving the administration very late, December of 2020, after it seemed like, okay, this guy is going a little bonkers.
Yeah, no, I agree with I think she would have, but then that would have been a problem for Mitch McConnell. You know, but which I'm like, Mitch McConnell doesn't care anymore. I mean, like, the dude's probably going to die pretty soon, and he's going to not get voted out of office.
Yeah, he's not due for another election till 2026. I doubt he's going to run then.
He's going to retire. Yeah, he's going to retire. Like, so my thoughts on this is just the thing is, one of the biggest reasons I sent that to you is because we didn't have a political section for the podcast, and that just happened to pop up. And then my thing is, I'm just so confused because I don't know what the ramifications will be because honestly, the Republican voting is, to me, even more confused than the left side. Yeah. You know, they're just, because it's one of those things. Is like, you have a guy who genuinely lies, who genuinely is still running a political campaign immediately after he lost.
Yeah.
That's what Donald Trump is doing. Donald Trump is running a political campaign right now.
Donald Trump has been campaigning for almost 7 years straight.
Right.
Like, you realize that after he started campaigning in 2015, the moment he won his election, I want to say, not the moment, but like, so he got inaugurated January 20th, 2017. I think 3 weeks later, he was doing his first rally. I was like, wait, hold on. Shouldn't you be governing? That's like, right. No, I'm already campaigning for 2020. This man had no interest in governance. He's been campaigning for 7 years straight. He just wants to be a winner. Thank you. He does. That's so true. He doesn't actually care about the job. He just wants to win the job. Yeah. It's all a game show to him all the time.
I think there was wasn't there a guy like that? Oh, I think Paul Rudd played a character like that on Parks and Rec.
Parks and Rec, yeah.
So, by the way, if you haven't seen Parks and Rec, watch it. It's an amazing show. But yeah, no, man. With this, I think we have to wait a little bit, because my thing is, there's a lot of people starting to maneuver for 2024. Mm-hmm.
2024, yes, okay. Mm-hmm.
And it's starting to come out. Not the midterm elections. I think a lot of people are starting to maneuver for because I just don't. Joe Biden say he's going to run. I don't see it happening.
Yeah. And right now, to me, it's looking like. Now, maybe we'll know more next year, but it's looking like Pete Buttigieg. Like, I honestly don't see. I don't see a progressive alternative. Because Bernie's not running again. I don't see. Maybe Warren might run, but I don't know. I don't see Kamala Harris. Huh?
She still has a bad rep among quite a few leftists.
Yeah. And I don't see Kamala Harris just like making any inroads. I think she'll run.
But first of all, she wasn't in the running as president. She was like, I think like a point. She
dropped in December. She dropped out in December of 20.
And wasn't like her wasn't 19. She like at 1% or something like that? Or
yeah, it was very low. She basically what she was banking on is okay, when we start getting like polling from like California, and we start seeing like southern states, am I making like inroads amongst Black people? And she wasn't. Black people were more for Biden than they were for Harris, which was like jarring for her. And I think she's like, okay, there's no path to success here. So let me drop out early. Let me, look through the ways and see like who's like, the one, and then I'll go and back that person. She's just not a good campaigner.
There's going to be a lot of people. I think the Democrat side is going to be as stacked as the Republican side was back in
2016.
Yeah. I think it's going to be as stacked as that, and there's going to be a lot of people of like, why are you here kind of people.
Yeah. I was telling my dad that what the Republicans need, like if you're going to run for office for the presidency in the Republican Party, you need to be the inverse of what happened in 2016. So in 2016, you had 17 people running, right? One of them being Trump. But you had all these 16 that were like, we're the normal GOP. This is your policy this, policy that, yada, yada. And then you had the wild card Trump. So you have these 16 people splitting like 75% of the vote. And then you have this one guy getting 25%. The crazy wing. Yeah. Huh?
That's how Abraham Lincoln won the presidency. You know, he had 3 people running, and then these other 2 people were splitting, like, I think, like 60% of the vote or 70% of the vote, but he got the majority of the vote because all the plurality were head to head, and he just came in, and that's exactly how Donald Trump. And it didn't hurt Donald Trump that Donald Trump made sure to make all these outrageous claims, got himself some free campaigning, you know, free
make him the outlandish person. And then, he became the media darling, infamous in the media, and he got all the coverage. So he won the plurality of the votes, and the Republican Party, the way they do the delegates, is winner take all. Doesn't matter if you only won 21% and everyone else is 20. You get all 100% of the delegates.
He said this before. The Republicans, doesn't matter who it is, they will get behind their guy.
Yes. So the thing I was going to say is that they need to do the inverse of that this time around, because what you've now seen is everybody is trying to be the Trump candidates. Kristi Noem from South Dakota, Ron DeSantis from Florida, maybe Nikki Haley might run. She's always trying to like toe that line, which is why she's not going to win. Because
you think Marjorie Taylor Greene is much of an idiot to run?
Hell no. No way.
You don't think she'll run?
No way.
No, I didn't say you think she'll win. I'm saying, do you think she will
to run?
She's
not. Look, I think she's a grifter and all that stuff. I don't actually think she's that dumb. There's no way. So she'll get crushed. So
Matt Gaetz will.
Matt Gaetz will run.
I think
if he's still out of jail. So you have all these people who are trying to position themselves to be the Trump candidates, and they're not realizing, okay, well, you're all going to split votes, and God forbid, if Trump runs, you're not going to beat Trump at being Trump. Trump is a better Trump than you are. But there's actually space in there for the non-Trump candidates, and I'm not seeing any of this. And maybe that could be Mike Pence. Maybe Mike Pence is like, I'll throw my hat in the ring. I stood by Trump all this time, but you have to stand your ground where you can. And
so you're saying a Republican, like, who's the guy who did the investigations into Trump? The FBI guy?
Jim Comey.
He's a Republican.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure he said so.
But he's one of those Republicans that's like, look, I believe in my values, but at the end of the day, I'm going to go down the line of my values. I'm not going to be saying all this other crap just for the hell of it. If you're wrong, you're wrong. If you're right, you're right. It doesn't matter the party. So you think they need that type of Republican to run? They
need at least one of them to run. And I think that person could win just because everyone's trying to be a Trump Republican. But so the reverse 2016 essentially.
But the main problem I think with these Republicans is you have to be able to portray yourself in the media the right way. Like, if you're going to be the polar opposite of Donald Trump, great, but you can't be boring. Because one thing
you can't be Jeb Bush.
Donald Trump is not boring. Yeah. He says what he's a character to watch. So you still have to have the personality. That's the biggest. I think that'll be the biggest downfall, because the thing is, though, when it was Donald Trump versus all these guys, all these other guys were duds.
Yeah. And so I think you have to show that you're a serious person, but yes, you can't be a dud. You can't be Jeb Bush. And what Jeb Bush did was he tried to first be the serious alternative to Trump, but he comes across, especially when you hear him talk, he comes across very like why is this guy talking to me right now? Like a nerd. I can say that I'm a nerd too. But then he tried to switch his tactic to be like, okay, Trump is going to insult me, I'm going to insult him back. So now you're trying to do the schoolyard bully thing to the ultimate schoolyard bully. You're not going to come out the winner, right? So you got to pick a lane and like stick to it, be serious. I think Liz Cheney does that pretty well. She could run. I think she could run. And there's the name recognition there already. Liz Cheney, I think, does that pretty well. She just states the facts. She doesn't try to, do the name calling thing. They'll be like, "Oh, did you hear what Trump said about you?" And then she'll be like, "Yeah, well, I'm not concerned about that. We're concerned about finding the truth about this and that." Like she brushes things like that off. I think she would come out looking pretty good against him. So yeah, but they should really consider that, like having a non-Trump candidate on there.
Yeah, it's still a couple of years away from 2024, so we'll see what happens on that. But I think the Democrat side is going to be the biggest wild card because one, Joe Biden is not a shoo-in to run again. He's saying he will, but he's not a shoo-in because honestly, thinking about his health too.
Yeah.
He honestly look, and it's not being facetious, but he could not make it to 2024. Like that's
yeah. I mean, there's a bit of a calculus to that though, to saying you're gonna run. You don't want to, especially not before the midterms. You don't want to come across as
the Democratic Party.
Huh?
Maybe he's trying not to splinter the Democratic Party by having this open before the midterms.
Yeah, that, but also you don't want to come across as a lame duck president. Like if you're okay, this person's already on their way out, we'll just pass the time until they're gone. You don't want to do that. You want to still show that, look, I'm here trying to get legislation done, I'm trying to pass things through. And part of that is making people feel like you're still going to be campaigning for the next thing. Even though I'm pretty sure no one actually believes he's going to run in 2024. But, don't make it official yet.
Oh, real good.
Yeah.
Who do you think he might nominate for the Supreme Court? That for the guy who's retiring?
I don't know, but there've been talks of this judge from South Carolina that I think used to work under Jim Clyburn. I really hope he doesn't pick her. Nothing against her. It's just I don't like this whole. The optics of it look bad. It's like, oh, Jim Clyburn, the kingmaker. Jim Clyburn, anything he wants gets through. Yes, we know Jim Clyburn basically. That's the first thing I thought about. Huh?
That's the first. Jim Clyburn. As soon as you said that she's from South Carolina, I thought of Jim Clyburn right off the bat.
Yeah. And I mean, yes, Jim Clyburn, for all intents and purposes, helped Biden win the nomination because he delivered South Carolina and he delivered it big. And so he's kind of indebted to him. He's indebted to the black voters and all that stuff. But don't do that. Don't.
You know what would be a good FU to Mitch McConnell before they both bounce from this world? Would be to nominate the guy who what was his name? Carolyn?
Collins?
Huh?
He's the what's it called? Attorney General. Merrick Garland.
Yeah. Nominating him as an FU to Mitch McConnell was like, hey, we didn't let him come in the first time. We're gonna do it this time. I'm
upset with Merrick Garland. Yeah, like not moving fast enough on the investigations. I'm upset with him. I don't want him. I love how there's so much stuff. I know we're about to get off politics, but there's all this talk about it's racist affirmative action for Biden to say that he's going to nominate a black woman. Okay.
Affirmative action.
Yeah, there's been like 100 and something Supreme Court justices, and not a single one has been a black woman.
I mean, shit. What was it? Barack Obama nominated the first Hispanic woman.
Yeah,
that was the first Hispanic woman. I mean, like.
Well, their thing is, Biden saying that okay, I'm only going to look at black women. Well, sorry, like everyone else has been a freaking white guy up until 1960 something when they put in Thurgood Marshall. Like Jesus.
One thing that you can know for sure though is. Unlike who was the lady that got nominated by Donald Trump?
Amy Coney Barrett.
Unlike her, this black female judge will actually have good credentials. Not I just merely made it through law school and I barely became a judge a couple of months ago. Right. This person will probably be well-established judge because guess what? Minority everything's get reviewed under a magnifying glass.
Yeah.
So this person will probably have a really good credentials so they can
always have to be twice as good.
Exactly. Twice as good for half as much.
Yeah, exactly.
All right. With that note, we can move on